Okay, I find the order selection and the roles for, well, the stance selection and the roles for the orders to be sort of the most exciting thing in the game. And not just in a sense of exciting because it's kind of neat that it happens, but actually exciting, some of the combat results can be the collapse of a unit, like we're seeing here, can be. So here, I've put the Franco-Flemish in an aggressive stance because I feel like they're in a position where they can continue moving, although I do have a lot of routed units over here. But, the Normans in defensive, I really have to recover them. And a moderate stance for the Bretons. I don't really care which way they go, but I don't think I'm going to crack this side of things. For the Saxons, defensive on both flanks. But given that how soft the center's gotten, I went up to cautious there. I don't really want to come down off the hill at this point. I haven't repulsed the Normans enough that that's appealing to me. So let's see what we end up with. I've got to find the chart. That's one of the problems. There. It's right in front of me. Okay. So we've got a moderate for the Bretons. They get a 6. Is it an advance 1 turn for the Knights? Which is perfectly. The Knights are out of command, though, so we gotta look that up. We probably want it to fall back, actually. And a 6 there. Advance to combat 1 turn. Okay, so their positions are approximately the same. These guys, though, I don't think they have their full movement capabilities. Let's go to the Normans. Also a 6, but they're in defensive. Advance 1 turn for their Knights. That's fine. And advance to combat 1 turn. And you know what I forgot? I forgot to start scoring these. Advance 1 turn and advance to combat 1 turn. That's +2 for each of these. So we send these guys up, and that's helpful. And now the people that I got to make sure actually fight are on aggressive. And we get a 9, charge 2 turns. Uh-oh. And advance to combat 1 turn. We're looking at +2 for both of the turns here, +1 there, so these guys get this. Alright, on the other side of things. The defensive on the left. 5. Attack and pursue 1 turn. Well, that's not what we expected. That's +1. Oh, yeah. So again, I think the Huscarls. Let me think how I wanted to do them, because this is the one thing I'd get to replace, whether or not they come charging off the hill. And I don't think I want them charging off the hill, so I think the Huscarls are still gonna fall back to option, and the option is going to be shield wall. Okay. I'll try to remember that. Alright, our next one is cautious. We get a dozen. Melee fire in place. That's a -1 for the center. Uh-oh. a shield wall, but and a defense on the right. 6. The right gets shield wall with -2. And I've got to kind of worry about my morale because as that goes down, my units are less likely to hold. That's one reason you don't want to maintain shield wall all the time or whatever. You might want to play around a little if the Dormans aren't actually attacking, and that might end up with you running off the hill or something because they've got archery in place. I've got to look up these guys, and I got to remember just what's going on with those shield wall sections. So the leaders don't really affect command and control. The army can operate without them, but they affect the reaction movement capabilities, I guess, the biggest thing. So that's one weight off my mind. Rally is the first thing. No, they also affect rally options. So to give a benefit here to this guy rallying, he's a D. He rallies on a 1 or 2, make it a 1 through 3. Yeah, I really need counters back. Okay. Now back here, these are all reds. Oh, actually, yeah, he's got a 0. He's right on top. No, so he gets a bonus. William can help these. Odo can't help anything. So let's try the ones that William can help. These are automatically rallied because they're within William's range. But down here it's not so easy. C. C is 1 through 3. 5. Okay. I don't remember what happens if you fail to rally. I think you keep routing, but some games don't have that. I think I better look that up. To the rally phase, things look a lot better. Although there are some routed units running. And yeah, they do keep running. Now it's missile segment. I'm kind of screening my missiles. I could take a couple of plink shots. What are these guys doing? Advance to combat. Those are both very optional. So I think I'll hold fire over there. Over here I think I better fire. Over here I'm completely screened. Over here we'll fire. Okay. Now, multiple disruptions don't really help us, so we'll shoot these guys. And I don't know, do we shoot them twice? It's 2 bows, 5. That would be a 9, 3 to 1. I mean, oh, wow, start getting up there when we actually do something. Yeah, let's shoot him at 3 to 1. He is not in shield wall. Okay, we get a hit. Awesome. I gotta remember to mark that point off over here. Not a lot of ammo left over there. Okay. And now we affect the movement. And I really have to put the camera down for that. Okay. I'm going to look over here first because the charge is kind of the interesting part. Now that doesn't do anything mandatory, but it's actually not going to do anything for me that's exciting at all, because all my movement's going to be within 2 hexes of the elevation change here, which means these guys, well, any movement to contact is going to be within 2 hexes of it, which means these guys can't actually get the advantage of the charge attack. That's okay. So this guy's going to do something interesting though first. And I want to show you 1, 2, 3. He's not in his zone, he's to the side. 4, you can spin him around. Now, because I have room elsewhere, I'm going to go up here at 5, 6 if I can. But I have to make a morale check to make it up there. Can I make it? Otherwise he'd have been disrupted and caused more problems. And now I'm going to start filling in the gaps with my other cav. 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. All fine and good, and now I've moved everything and I realize, oh shit, this cav only have a 4 movement allowance if they're not charging. So I'm going to pluck this guy out of there. And I'll just toss him back here. Oh, I forget about the low movement allowances in this game. And one of the problems is, of course, it's not written right on the board, but yeah. Anyway, we've moved everything else on that flank, but we still have everything else on the board to move. It's locked. X actually continuing for the most part across the line. Here I'm pretty much locked into position, so we continued on here. We already saw I felt I had some advantage, but here I threw some cav in. I'm going to try to punch past over there and see if we can maybe push some of the shield wall forward. I'm wondering, did I just miss the Saxon turn over here? Obviously not over here, but here. Is there some destroyed units? I didn't fill in the gaps or anything, so I don't know what. Maybe I just played one side or something. I don't know. The most likely explanation is they had orders which couldn't move forward. I just don't remember well enough. It gets a little disrupted by some missile fire. I choose to fire off both the flanks. The center, not so much. I have to find the flank over here. I mean, the way the flanks are flexible, etc. In a way, I kind of like the idea of individually tracking the missile fire. You could do it easily enough with some counters from other games, but whatever. And now let's see how the Norman attack actually works, whether it does a little better than last time. Things haven't been going too well for the Normans, in part because this side's field wall over here, the horses going up a hill aren't particularly strong. We had an unlucky route, though, which caused some disruption. We're taking a loss. We took another hit under here. We didn't really do anything of any value. I'm looking at this unit. This unit actually did manage to meet the charge requirements because it's ending in contact, didn't cross a ridge or stream, blah, blah, blah. And the last 2 hexes were not uphill. That means it had a higher movement allowance. That didn't really matter. We are restricted. It says it's a voluntary order, but we had to move towards the enemy, which is fine. We did so. No reaction. Okay. And it'll add 1 to its combat strength and change D's to R's, which is the pretty big effect. So, and I've got a charge too, which means we're going to keep going no matter what. So this is a 9 to 3, so we go on a +6 table. It's the only unit attacking. And that's going to cause a hit and a morale check. Well, the hit doesn't matter, or the morale check doesn't matter. This must advance. And I don't believe there's any kind of breakthrough or anything like that that happens in this game. I just was playing Command & Colors Napoleonics, where horses get to attack again. Where there's kind of an advantage is here I get to swing 3 units against this because of the disrupted units. I'm able to get some nice strength point differentials here. So 12 to 3 would be 9 points. Well, obviously I only need 6. Do I want to make another attack instead? Like I could hit this. Well, see there, that gets me to a 0 because the disruption doesn't really help me. So I guess I'll just focus everyone on that 6-point attack there. And what are we doing in formation? Just in advance to combat. No, that's not too good. We disrupted the entire force. We did kill that, but still, not exactly what you want to have happen. I don't know why I show you me picking counters and actually playing, but we're almost done over here, so. Alright, so we got 4 to 3, that's just a +1. The combat is kind of tedious. I mean, it's a D star for the attacker, which is just a D really. And then here, wow, I've got a lot here. These are just normal strength at 16, 20 to 2. Top of the chart. We get a single hit on this, which doesn't do much, but casualties are casualties and you gotta take them. Low quality units are destroyed, that D quality, and that puts us over to the Saxon side of the turn. Since they're in kind of an overly defensive position, they're not allowed to move up and hold the hill here. They're not allowed to shift their forces quickly over to the kind of threatened left flank. Everything's moving kind of slowly because they're either in shield wall or melee in place, which basically shield wall really is restricted. 1 hex to the rear is the best I can do. Melee in place allows me 1 hex of kind of semi-free movement, so I can start trying to shift things here. And meanwhile, these guys, the slingers, are charging up at the cav here, which doesn't sound good. These guys are in a shield wall, so they're not going anywhere. And I forgot to roll my rallies. Oops, these are an interesting case. Now, the fact these guys are in shield wall means it's okay that he rallied. It was kind of problematic otherwise, because he would have to attack both of these. I definitely kind of don't want to do that, and I might have had to do a withdrawal because of that. Over here, these guys again in shield wall, they're not going to be a problem. I don't think I freed up anything here, so I'm still going to have this stupid attack on this knight with like some Ferd coming across. Here's kind of interesting. I'm going to have to hit these knights because I'm not in shield wall with these guys. These guys are in melee in place, so they actually have to hit. But they're not too bad. They're coming downhill at a +1. Do they get anything else? Yeah, we get another one for charging down the hill. So that's pretty cool. Funny thing, the sequence of play is giving me trouble here, and I'm not sure why, but I'm forgetful of things. It feels like it's fairly close to other Berg sequence of plays, going back to TSS. So I'm not sure why I'm forgetting things like the defensive fire phase. I mean, I'm doing them, but it feels a little hard to remember. Anyway, we did fire some Norman archers here, and that's good because we disordered that unit, which could have been a threat to those bowmen. And we have plenty of ammo on this side and not a lot of guys to shoot. These guys could actually arc their fire. I don't know if it's any value. Seems pretty unlikely, but if I disorder one of these instead. Range 3, I'm a 3, that's 1 to 1. I think I get a shift against me. Let's do that instead. I think that's more likely. Yep, doesn't do anything. I didn't fire them because they're behind, but if I'm firing anyway, I might as well. And now the actual melees. And again, shield wall prevents me from having to attack here. I don't want to. How about here? 7? No. Shield wall. And then here the shield wall goes to here, so I can take care of these guys. Okay. Wow. Oh, full slingers fired. Yeah, they must have. Right flank fired its missiles, left flank didn't. Not sure what I'm doing. But they wouldn't get a fire before they move. This is really horrible because these guys really, slingers are not counted as bowmen. I really think they should be. They're basically going to run to their death. They're not going to be very effective no matter what I do with them, though. You know, there's a set. Oh shit, my battery didn't charge, and I just swapped out, and it's worse off. There's an errata, and I'm not going to bother looking at it, but I'm going to allow these guys to stand up there instead, and treat them as bowmen. Because they really have no melee capability of any mention, and they're just not going to charge forward and be forced to melee. Alright. Yeah. I don't know what to do about my camera situation. So the Saxon attack didn't have much effect one way or the other. A trade of losses here. These guys didn't do anything. One unit, this unit here, routed, but that'll be recovered easily enough. It's only really losses that matter for the most part. Routing, it weakens your position, like disruptions are fucking annoying in terms of like what they do to your formation. Like, you just can't attack, and if some of them start recovering, problems start happening. Wow, I mean, you really need to pull back and reorganize. And there's a lot of things in this that I like, but it is, like I said, there's a mechanical complexity to this that is kind of painful. More so than in TSS type systems and stuff, such not. And I feel like maybe it can be overcome. I mean, I've played a lot of the great battles of the American Civil War or so, and games like it, so I'm really familiar with dealing with the reactions in that. And this I haven't played very much, and there's nothing else in the system. But honestly, because of the mass, you know, the fact that it's all close-in combat pretty much, and you're really swarming in this battle at least, there's a lot of contact when there's anything happening on a turn, basically. Alrighty. Well, time to go away. Hey, my battery is full. Okay, so it's happy pick time again, and I had to search through my disordered counters to find a selection I want. Basically, I'm going with moderate on the two flanks this time, because honestly, I'm not sure I want the full-on charge. I'm not going to get the bonus from it here. Of course, these guys are already in charge, but whatever. Now, the center, I'm going in defensive. I've got some potential to break through and stuff here, but I don't know. Maybe I should up that to cautious. I'm just thinking it would be nice to be able to push forward and see if we can crack one flank or the other. Yeah, I'm gonna move that to cautious. But we'll talk about the Saxons. Saxons went with cautious for the center and right because these are getting too low. Pretty soon I'm going to start taking morale hits. Well, I'm going to have weakened morale, which means I'll have a harder time holding the line. Left flank, I'm continuing to go with defensive. It's got a much higher morale because they can went a little berserk a couple times, and I really can't afford to go charging off, but that hasn't helped me so far. We are going to change that center, quite possibly to moderate, actually, just because cautious is too cautious. Right. So the knights continue their charge here. That was a two-turn charge here. We've got sort of free movement with the knights. That's pretty good. Got an attack here. A couple of melees in place, which are a little bit less aggressive than I'd like. We're not going to be able to advance an attack or anything like that. Over for the Saxons, some interesting stuff going on. Shield wall over on the left, great. These are the guys who wanted to go on defensive. They're happy with that. But an attack and pursue in the center. We're going to be marching forward, and then a melee in place over here. I actually kind of thought I'd want to attack here, but you know, it's not something that's really under your control. So on to the Norman side of things. Right. And a fair amount of rallying took place. Of course, William getting everything near him into play. Tell you one thing, this is a component issue, but it disturbs me. Whenever I pick up these damn pieces, and I don't know if it's the glossiness or just what I had to do to try to take those side things off, and they still look hideous, right? The little side mounting fragments off or whatever. I think it's a combination of glossiness and kind of the convexity of these counters. The TSR era counters, they're just much more difficult to handle. And that's whether I'm using tweezers or not. I kind of switch back and forth. They're particularly hard with the tweezers, actually. I'm not sure why. It may be trying to remove those side markers ends up making each counter a little different. The old SPI ones had their problems too, where there'd be like a really missized counter because their die cutter had like one really bad cut on each sheet or something like that. I remember there was an era where that was like a common thing. All right, and on to the movement. Forget the missile fire, at least in my head while I'm talking, saying let's go to movement and combat. Yeah, well, we had a little bit, just a little fire here. We actually were very successful, 2 disorders on the Huscarls. And that's because my cav is moving up with that advance, and I'm gonna see if I can just, you know, bust my way through the center. It's pretty straightforward and not at all pretty, but it just seems like the thing to do right now. Like the Knights are doing the main share of the fighting this round. Pushing all along here. They've got the more aggressive commands. None of this is charges, though. Even the guy who is in charge formation, he wasn't able. These guys are, right? I can't tell where the slope is. No, they're too close to the slope. And then likewise here, we're coming right up against that slope. We're not going to get a charge bonus, which, you know, it's a shame, but. And we get a penalty for the slope. But we're still pretty good as long as we're not facing shield wall. And there's only one shield wall here, I think. Where? Uh-oh. The center's in shield wall, if they so desire, I believe. Because that's the attack and pursue. And there's no way those guys, the Huscarls are going to do it. Again, that's an optional rule, and it's a very powerful one because it allows an advance by the Ferd, but not by the Huscarls, and you let the Ferd go through. And it actually kind of happened historically. The Huscarls eventually joined in when it started to look like they were winning, but yeah, moderate success, I guess. I don't know. Defensive fire had some effect. Took out another Huscarl, though, and that's kind of the big thing. I don't remember where. I don't see a gap in the line, so it must have advanced wherever the hell it was. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Well, this guy got chased back. That's not a Huscarl, though. I don't know where I got the Husky. Hey there, that looks like there was a fight. Yeah, it was these 2 units killed that one. And that happened really early, and it looked like, oh yeah, I'm going to light things up. Well, I forgot I'm hitting a shield wall here. I probably shouldn't have advanced, but it wasn't too bad. I had numerical superiority, but I definitely took some damage as opposed to dealing it, which I thought I was going to do well marching forward. The neat thing is, when you hit these kind of lesser Ferd units, they're whatever, they're part of the Great Ferd, but they're unable to go into shield wall. Unlike the more professional units. So, they kind of don't get much defense at all. Alright, on to the Saxon side. Moving along on my merry way, and I think we're going to start stepping back further in the game here. Saxons, all the way up through their movement, through the Norman firing. This is the positioning. right now the attacks, what do we have? The Saxon left is in shield wall, so that's not launching any attacks. The center is an attack and pursue, and that really amounts to this unit. This unit is the only one that made contact off of that. And then over here, we're in melee in place, and you can see we kind of pulled back. This guy is going to have to attack, however. And that's coming down off the hill. Those guys probably are not in shield wall. So we're looking at a 7 to a 5. 7, 8 to 5, so +3. That's a pretty good table. First wound for a leader, Alain here. We had a 1-1. Not a great result with the Housecarls taking the hit in exchange for one of these, but Alain got shaken. That means he's not going to have any effect on play. If he gets a second shaken, I think he gets wounded. And that's no effect for the next. Oh no, if he's shaken again, he gets a chance of getting killed. That's going to be for the next, this battle phase, which is essentially over, and the next one. And then he comes back into play with a new horse or whatever. That's pretty nice and incremental in this. I mean, not a lot happens, right? We got the step losses, you got some disorders, etc. The disorders are really cool because they make it so that you don't have to attack those units. It's a mechanism that seems to work pretty well in terms of giving you some local superiority that's not devastating. And it's, you know, it's not like you're taking huge losses or anything. You got some more units to put aside. Nothing that hasn't been there all turn, but just throw those over there in case it's important. If the Normans lose, it doesn't matter. And that puts us to phase 5. That means we're only going to be pulling one feared unit per battle phase for the rest of this assault period. And it's time for the fun stuff again, but I don't know. I'm a little tired. I went for a long walk today. I've been going for a lot of long walks. For the fun of my picks, I haven't rolled them yet, but I had a thought, which is that I'm not going to allow the override to occur if you pick an aggressive stance for the Saxons. That doesn't seem fair. It seems like if you give an aggressive command, you should have to be giving that to the Huscarls as well. And it just seems a little weird. Right now what we're going with is moderates both the flanks here. Part of that has to do with trying to keep the morale up. Although I do want to press this attack. This one I'm less interested in pressing, but I don't want the morale to go weaker particularly. And then in the center I'm going with defensive. The hope there is to make up for, well, this is going to be continuing, and that's like a +1 morale. So I'm trying to keep it from going too far. And I actually don't think I'm going to be able to do much good here, but my knights have that advance. Now they don't have to actually advance with it. Over here, I don't even need to put a marker here. Those guys are in attack and pursue, and the Huscarls are in shield wall. But the other side's a moderate over on the right flank here. Why? This is definitely a morale thing. My right flank, I would like to even go aggressive, but I don't dare, you know, launch an attack on that side. And then over here, I've got a cautious on the left flank because, again, I feel like I'm dipping down into the weak level on the morale chart. See what all comes out. So the knights are being more aggressive than the infantry again on the Norman side, except for the Bretons who are in hold, whereas the infantry is not. Over here, I got an interesting situation. An attack and pursue 2 over on the Saxon right, which is definitely not, that was what I was trying to avoid, but it's not necessarily a terrible. Now, what did I want to do with the Huscarls? I really should be deciding this ahead of time, but because I'm playing solo, I kind of feel like I can rewind my brain and say, okay, well, without knowing any of this stuff, what would I choose here? And this is an interesting question because actually these guys aren't in that kind of position where I feel like they can't take any attack. options. Problem is we don't know what is going to happen up here. I'm going to stick with shield wall. The reason simply being that I can't lose this ground, and I don't want the defensive weakness. If these things kind of rally, they may have to fight me. And the shield wall is more advantageous there. Now, it does mean I don't get my swing back, but it's so random what might happen in those, you know, what the situation might be before those swing backs, that I just feel like always shield wall with these things unless I have the desire to push forward, and I really don't at this point. I really just want to, I want to hold my line. You know, I've got a whole another assault period to cope with. Let's manage to trade some losses here. There we go, bumping these slickers. Here, disordering a couple of my units, but I finished this thing off, or actually just one of my units. Over here you can see damage, but a disorder there. Basically the Saxons did something, maybe partially by mistake, by not falling back, so they took hits on a lot of their really weak swingers, but I really don't like the idea. The slingers just aren't that good, and they're not worth a lot of victory points or whatever if it comes down to it. I don't really want to mess at them on the board, so if they can cause some casualties or disrupt the enemy or something at an important point, and that's well worthwhile, and it feels like, you know, blunting this attack, giving myself some time to try to shift forces over is probably about as good a thing I can hope for them. Whereas falling back and giving up space, you know, that kind of wins time too, and we might do that, but not right now. And of course, under certain orders, maybe we don't have the option to, right? So that sends us over to the Saxon turn here. And center and right are pretty aggressive right now. We see, boom, coming down off the hill. And again, the Huscarls are locked into that, you know, standard shield wall, so there's not much they can do about it. The shield wall just isn't as impressive as those Huscarls. You can see we flung a bunch of them back, actually. Now, there were casualties over here, some damage over here. Mainly we got routes against the Normans. It's pushing them back. I don't know what that does, because I'm taking real losses versus damage. Basically, these weaker furred units are not attacking on good tables, but they got some semi-lucky rolls in some cases. You can see some of them not so much. Not a lot of ground gain, but ground is kind of unimportant right now. It will be important at the end of Assault Period 2 if the Normans can't get their way on the hill. They're just going to lose the game. But if, you know, in this period, yeah, it doesn't look like I'm likely to be able to get enough pieces on the hill to extend the game at any level, which means, hey, I'll take retreats in exchange for real casualties, for whatever that matters. With the desire to throw the Saxon center back, I went with an aggressive in the center. Moderates on both wings. I actually would have liked to have gone a little bit more cautiously here on the Breton wing, but the reason I didn't was really the morale. Their morale was dipping a little lower than I like. On the Saxon side, these guys were fixed. I did moderate on both of the others. Again, I hope to keep the morale kind of standing upward. So what do we get out of this? Well, let's see, 2 of the knight groups are charging. The Norman center is just advancing. However, the infantry are mailing in place, which means they're not going to get much good, except for the Norman knights who are advancing to combat. So we're not going to see the kind of, you know, charge of the entire force that we'd perhaps like to see, but you know, those kind of coordinated charges. I think the view is that they maybe didn't happen all that much. And certainly if you look at some of the descriptions of the forces fighting in like Agincourt or something like that. It doesn't seem like there were such things very often. It was like slow march of the infantry, etc. But if you look at some of the other stuff, the descriptions of wedge formations that are used in the early medieval era, which is closer to this, it actually almost seems like forces intermingled, and you had the infantry and the cav kind of at a trot together, and then the cav would pull forward, and the infantry would be a follow-up force. But we really don't know much about the formations in this era, or the era I'm talking about. It's just we're talking, off speculation. Some of the statements seem to indicate that. So yeah, what did we end up here? Well, we ended up with a fairly aggressive stance, but mainly that's the Saxon right, which is charging in. The others have a fairly flexible response, but they're going to have to fight back. Okay. The Normans are making a shot at it here with the cav charging on the two flanks, and already some infantry were engaged, and then a real push with the cav pushing its way up the hill. They're kind of putting some threat on to like try to collapse the Saxon line here. We'll see what the missile fire does, but that's not likely to do much. We'll be back. The missile fire ended up being exceedingly effective, actually. Some demoralizations here and there. Okay, great. That's kind of to be expected. But boom, we routed this cav that was pushing the furthest in, disordered with the route through over here, and just really kind of stopped that attack, at least the worst part of it. Through a very, very lucky set of rolls, actually. We had a lot of firepower here with a javelin and a bow. It worked out to about 8. That only gets us, I think, to the 1-to-1 table, but which, disorder is probably the best you can hope for. Got a morale check with the 6 on the morale route. Boom. Ouch. So this worked out to be a pretty good turn for the Normans. A little bit of damage here, getting up on the hill. Here, doing a fair amount of damage to the units that were in front here. Same thing here, we can see, yeah, we took demoralizations, or disorders, but those aren't really a big deal. What we're looking at right now is causing enough casualties because we don't think we can take the hill. Killed Garth, and some significant units cleared off the board. We shouldn't have a problem meeting the point basis. I mean, getting Huscarls, they're just worth so much. The loss of leader, I think the Saxons are going to fall down to only 2 wings next turn, but in this turn they still have 1 wing to find over here, which is on the attack, and that's probably not going to go too well. I don't want to waste arrows trying to stop something that probably is overall to my advantage, so I'll just let them attack. Kind of a weird decision there. I mean, that doesn't really fit, except they're low on arrows, and they're like, well, those guys aren't a threat anyway. Let's hold off. Elsewhere, though, we can see kind of pulling back, forming a better defensive shield over here. Ooh, forgot to bring these guys in. I could have brought some of the Huscarls into play more easily, but I didn't really want to. And unfortunately, Harold's going to have like this singular large command, which, if that goes into attack mode, is going to be kind of unpleasant, because it's going to be an attack all the way around here. And so I want to keep flexibility with that flank, and I don't know how well that's going to work, especially since this one's mainly going to be on the defensive. And we'll see what the redefinition rules look like for that. But right now, let's just fight out these combats. Not a great turn for the Saxons. They lost the key. Nice unit there. The select furred. And over here, yeah, they routed some of the Flemish there, but Otherwise, not a high. And I mean, they pushed back one of these, but that's just infantry. This was a cav unit, which is kind of cool to get off the line if I was worried about the Normans winning on the first assault period. I don't think they're going to. Here we are in the 7th turn of this assault phase, and going a little bit more cautious because the numbers were beginning to get high. Well, they've gotten even higher with a couple of more aggressive moves by the Norman center, which is particularly difficult because that's getting close to the fatigue levels, and the others are also above 0. We kind of want to pursue the attack here, so it's cool. Well, the knights were in charge too, so they're going forward anyway. But the infantry just got a melee in place, which we would have liked something a little bit more there. Likewise with the blue, the Flems, we wanted to try to punch through a little more there. We were willing to relax here. Well, it's not quite how things work out, but that's part of the nature of this game. You don't get to do what you want to do. You don't have that sort of overall command of the things, and I like that. Moderate across the board here because our morales were going down a little bit, and what we see is everything except the left is doing something kind of aggressive. The left is only doing a melee in place. Shield wall would have been maybe an optimal situation across the board. I mean, you want to do shield wall all the time, but that just screws with the morale, and then you're not able to hold the hill anymore. So, yeah, you know, you try to mix it up a little bit. I would have liked aggression here on the right, and I guess I got that. Well, I don't know. It's hard to tell. What I would like is to clear the hill, and there's no way to do that without aggression. But I don't know if I have the quality of troops to do that. Hey, there is no right. Shit, we forgot about this. Gotta think. I'm going to eliminate the right, because that's basically gone from the game. But it doesn't have to be gone from the game. But at this point, the center is going to subsume the right. We'll probably go, you know, where we've been dividing all along. The problem is, of course, Harold isn't in command of the stuff way over on the wing here, but that's okay. So yeah, we actually have to get rid of the right. It's not absolutely clear what happens when you lose a wing or whatever. And I may rearrange my wings in some other way, but the problem is, unlike the nationalities here, which are pretty fixed, and it's no big deal, you know, if I lose a leader, well, the nationality is still a fixed entity. Here, the wings are kind of flexible in determination. I guess technically, I mean, I don't know what to do in terms of, especially when we move into the next assault period. I think these values don't like get reset or anything. Maybe they do, and that would help a little bit. But the problem is, if I've got this right wing available over here, you know, at this value, which is what we're kind of sitting at, maybe it would behoove me to declare something as the right wing at some point or another, and that seems really bogus to me. The way the rules are actually written on this don't really help you, and presumably the problem is this is the leader who went. He was the right wing leader, you know, so it feels like the right wing is gone now. Thinking the errata might handle this, but I'm not sure that there's any solution that I can see that would work terribly well. Pop over and take a look at the errata, and it's tiny for this. It doesn't resolve the issues that I have with it. It does resolve a couple of things like, hey, there's an extra Franco-Flemish piece over here. It resolves some things I had no problem with, which is there's some poor morale Norman infantry. Hey, you know, makes sense to me that they wouldn't all be exactly the same. So I'm playing with the countermix as it is. Honestly, whatever problems that I have with the game, the errata actually really don't resolve it. Strangely enough, the errata isn't even from strategy and tactics. It's from a couple of wargamer issues. Maybe Berg wrote the errata, maybe somebody else did, who knows? But I'm not really taking errata that shows up in some other publication without any reference to who wrote it as particularly canon in this case. Anyway, on the Norman side of the turn, see, we're sort of, I don't know, things look like they're getting kind of strong there, but I don't know. We're doing some damage. Mainly things are very, very incremental and slow in this system. Over here we had a cav traded for one of these javelineers. We had an injury there, but importantly we took out a Huskarl as well. So, you know, it's not a bad turn for the Normans. It's also not an astoundingly good one. And now we go to the Saxons, who their activities, the left wing isn't going to be going anywhere, but the right wing is, well, the center right is flexible. And we're up to some more damage here. Saxons lost this. They took out another caveat. We're just gonna, I don't remember how the points work out. 2 B's is about equal to an A, so that's about even there, although we lost some of these guys too. My damn ring, I can't get it on my middle finger anymore. I jammed my finger pretty bad. I don't know, either a really bad sprain or bruise, or maybe a very, very mild break. It was really badly swollen and everything, and it was hard to get off, and now I can't get it past my knuckles. It's on a different finger and it feels weird there. I'll probably have to take it off again. We're almost at the end of this assault period. It's pretty clear there aren't going to be enough Normans on top of the hill to force this assault period to go into an overtime situation. So then we'll have the between rounds cleanup. So of course didn't turn out quite as hoped. They never seem to. All defensive over here. Why? To try to drop the morale. But made a charge here. Otherwise it's okay. The advance not great, but that's it doesn't really hurt. The problem there is, well, I got a shield wall, so I got to decrease it a little bit. The only real problem was the charge still going on in the blue, and there was nothing I could do about that with this turn selection. Over here, though, not so good. I picked moderates both, trying to boost morale. I get an attack and pursuit, great. The left is helped out, but the center ends up in shield wall. The attack and pursue is really cool because that means my Huskarls on the left are also in shield wall, so that's going to be tough to beat. We have another shaken leader, but other than that, everything's pretty much set up. My feeling is, well, I wanted to recover some morale because I'm not going to have the point. I'm not going to have the amount of time to be able to extend this further to have a chance of winning. So I might as well recover some points here. I looked up in the rules. Those don't go away. I still don't know what to do with this right wing, like whether something can become the right wing or something. I think that wing has been discarded by the person leading it dying, but there's, again, nothing specific that says that, actually. Again, not a lot has happened. You see, pull back most of it. Over here, these cav actually accidentally rolled their results here. They would have done a point of damage, and then I realized, wait a minute, this could have fired a slingshot. So I did that because I'm out of ammo over here, so I didn't notice. But I have slingers in place here. I don't know if slingers can arc fire. Again, one of the other things that I had, which was, hey, let's treat slingers kind of like bowmen in some ways. Well, there's nothing like that in the errata, although slingers are pretty damn dumb otherwise, because they'll charge up with their 1 strength and like get themselves killed otherwise. But these guys managed to get a disorder result on those knights, which undid the damage that would have happened. So it's kind of a, oh, that's pretty impressive. But that was also a kind of neat attack there, because we were looking at an 8-9 against a 5, so it was on the +4 table, so it was on a pretty good table. It's good to stop something like that. Now we go over to the Saxon turn, and one thing the Saxons don't have to do here is they don't have to knock the Normans off the hill. They don't have to worry about that at all. So I can actually just fall back, because time's on my side. If I can get this to play out without getting defeated, this game is over as a Saxon victory. Which means I probably don't actually want to take attacks unless they're really pretty decent. At least the +2 table. And with, well, these guys have to, unfortunately. Oops. And some of your best opportunities to damage the enemy is they end up in a stupid attack order like this and come charging down at things that are well prepared for them. I don't want to use any ammo. The Normans are pretty much going to take all these attacks. They're not withdrawing from anything. And these are going to hurt the Saxons, there's no question. So that's kind of cool for a last turn in the round in the period bonus. There was a cost. 3 units died, other additional injuries showing up there. The Ferd that was thrown into there did not do well. You know what? I forgot to send somebody on the board for the turn, which would be this guy. Doesn't really matter where they go if they're not going to be engaging, because everything gets reset at this point. We'll be doing that in a moment because we're between the 2 assault periods. We'll go through these steps. I don't have a lot of time, so we may have to break it, as all too often we do. All routed and disrupted units on the map will be rallied if there's a leader on the map. And they have to trace, units have to trace a path free of enemy zones of control to their reforming area. If they can't, they're eliminated. Well, that's bad for this guy. If he had been attacked and routed, he might have gotten away, but he's destroyed instead, which is kind of painful. Everything else on the board is going to be fine, and they're all going to rally and end up in better morale. The Normans are going to be able to build their units 4 hexes south of Senlac Hill, and the flanks go from the 006 here, I guess. Kind of a zigzaggy, right? Out to the X26, which is around here. So I'm not able to outflank the hill in any sense, even though we started to do so there. And then the Saxons are able to build anywhere on the top 2 layers of Senlac Hill, and they can define their wings as they like, but they only have 2 leaders, so they only have 2 wings. Right, so we'll do that. I'm going to send this up and then start setting up, the next period's situation.